Chiara,
Franzi.
are we doing this now?
I think we're doing this.
Finally.
So one of the things that has been so cool about entrepreneurship is finding friends that do what you do and that get you and understand you, and you can have these really cool conversations with. And I feel like we have conversations like this all the time. And how many times do we say like, oh God, I wish people could like be a fly in the wall and hear what we have to say. So we thought we would bring you guys in to kind of listen in on how we built our freedom-based businesses. We built them differently, which I think is really cool. So we're gonna just riff and talk about the shit that makes us happy.
Yeah, and it's so exciting because now I finally can ask you all the questions I always wanted to ask you. By having an actual goal and learning from somebody who built a 7-figure business, me built a 6-figure business. And of course, I'm always willing to learn to go higher and higher. So, starting right into it, I would say, Chiara, how the fuck did you do this?
I don't know. I think a lot of times, like when you're in it, when you're building, you don't realize that you're building it until you wake up on a random Tuesday and you're like, holy shit, look what I built, you know? Hindsight is always 2020. I think when you're in the trenches, it's really hard to see how you're doing it, which is, I think, a really good thing, right? Because you're doing great. It may not feel like you're doing great, but you're doing great. And honestly, I think if I look back on just like my journey, and I think you might resonate with this, I think everything just stacks onto itself, right? Like we get to evolve. And I think we're going to be talking about that as well today, about how our businesses have evolved. You know, 2026 is a completely different time in the online space, and just every iteration of our business has changed. I mean, do you feel like, how long have you been in business?
9 years now doing business coaching, but started with a social media agency that I built myself, and then COVID hit, and then everybody was going loco, and I needed to change my business. And then I became a business coach and help people more to become free and build an actual freedom setup for their business and emigrate, become tax-free, out of the system, like all this rebellious stuff, you know. So a lot changed during the period of time that I'm doing business, probably for you as well. I don't know, how actually did you start? Like, what was the main...
I mean, I came from the blogosphere. So my first,
me too. Blogging.
Yeah, little bloggers. We've all evolved. I was a dating and relationship blogger back in like 2009, and then I actually had an online magazine that went really, really big. It was amazing, a women empowerment magazine, and I shut that down in about 2016. And you know, back then I had kind of collected enough of a personal brand. This is why I'm like the biggest fan of building a really powerful personal brand, because it will carry you through, you know, multiple eras of your life. I actually started with dating and relationship coaching. So I do mentor.
Give me some tips.
I do mentor women in business. Here, I'll take mine off too so we can be twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do mentor women in business, but I didn't start that way. So I started with dating and relationship coaching and slowly kind of built, you know, my experience there. But because I had so much experience with my startup and, you know, building online communities and stuff, that's how I started, you know, kind of building the Bold Self brand slowly but surely, which is an empowerment brand for women. But it was again, like an evolution through the series, right? So like, I mean, it's wild because blogs used to be the thing.
Nobody's reading them anymore today. It's wild.
Well, I actually disagree because Substack is really rising. Yeah. And I use Substack. I have paid subscribers on Substack. You know, my Substack, first of all, for me as a creator, like I love creating long form. I never lost that, but I do think it's a rising form. We could talk about that, but I think it's
I'm
really
interested.
Well. I
Okay.
think it's really
I
well.
used to write so many blog posts about Ibiza and my time there, you know, and traveling and how to become location dependent. And I spent so much time writing and writing and writing. That was the time when we didn't have ChatGPT.
Was it in German only that you wrote?
No, in English I started even. And and I was writing, and that has so healing power to just write some stuff down, you know. And now as we have ChatGPT, we tend to just make a voice message to ChatGPT and then, hey, write me this, write me that, and do it with my wording, you know. That's like making your life easier as a creator, yes, but it also takes out a bit of the heart
Yeah,
and
I
the
can't
actual
do
passion
it.
of it. And I think we yeah, like so many things shifted and changed during the
Wait, so
last
let me
years.
ask you,
Crazy.
how did you, 'cause, okay, so I feel like one of the things that we both have in common is the fact that we've evolved so much, right? Like I went from dating and relationship, I went from blogging, women empowerment, whatever, to business coaching, back to women empowerment. How did you evolve from, being a travel blogger to business coaching? And how did you know that? And how did you feel like it was okay to evolve in that way?
Yeah, I think it was because the people asked for it. So in my case, it was like that. I was living in Ibiza, traveling to Thailand, to Bali, and different other places, and people saw me doing this like many years already before COVID hit. So when nobody knew what a digital nomad is, I was already one without
Yeah.
even knowing I'm one. And people ask me, how the hell do you do this? Like you're already half a year gone, you're 1 year gone, you're 2 years gone, like from Germany. How do you do this? And they asked me, and I told them how I did it. Became a freelancer, built up a social media agency, and I'm working online. And yes, this is possible, you know. And then I actually started coaching people for free. 30 people I had in calls. Asking me question about how to become a digital nomad, how to travel the world, how to build up a business. And I did that for free because I felt their pain of shit. I sit in my home country and I don't want to do this anymore. And out of this, I said, okay, I'm gonna jump on a call with you because I know you're pain. Let's do it. I help you. And then the 30th person told me, hey, what you're actually doing here is coaching. Did you ever consider doing this as a business model? And I'm like, oh, this is what I'm doing now. I get it. Okay. And he was like, you have to charge so much money for this. This was so valuable to tell me this. That changed my whole life. And that was the birth hour, let's say, of me becoming a coach.
That's amazing. I call this the catalyst moment. So I think there's like such a, for those of you or those of us, right, who haven't yet started businesses, who are looking to. I think like we all have these moments where it's very clear that something, maybe it's a spark that really like you feel inside and you're like, wow, like, or something that changes your life or something, and that you feel really inspired to bring out into the world. For me it was like I had so many different catalysts. I was a bartender when
Me
I
too.
was, right? I think many of us were bartenders. And as bartenders, right, I feel like a lot of us did, a lot of work. And I was the one that was helping the girls in the bathroom. And I'm like, girl, you got to stand up for yourself. Like, you can't be with this. I've been saying the same stuff for so long. And I also remember one of my first business programs that I had. So I naturally started flowing into business and I became really like, I got it. There were things, also made a massive investment in a sales coach when I started coaching, and really to understand high ticket transformational sales, which I think played a huge role in like my success so early.
It's the biggest part of business, knowing what sales is all
Yeah.
about and marketing and understanding
100%.
people. It's such a
A
huge
hundred
thing.
percent. So my very first like business program that I was doing, I was helping women start their businesses. This is back in like 2017. And like what's wild is that I was on a call with this girl and she really wanted to join this program. Like she wanted to start a business. She was so all about wanting to start a business. And her husband gets on the phone and he is like, I know she wants to join, but no, I'm not paying for this. Meanwhile, I hear her in the background crying her eyes out. Like she is bawling, like begging him, please let me do this. Okay. So, like I said, I never really called myself a business coach because I help women blow up their businesses, yes, but it's part of a women's self-empowerment brand. That moment sparked a trajectory of my career because I was like, the hell, like
This motherfucker.
this mother, yeah, literally, like there's a what she wants to do this. She was so passionate. She had this massive vision, and he straight up was like, no, I'm not letting her do it. And I stand for a woman being able to stand on her own 2 feet. And the fact, whether you're married or not, right, to have some sort of autonomy and say like, hey, like this is something that's very important to me. And that was a catalyst moment for me. And I
Counts
think
for men and women, by the way, but
a
yeah, for
hundred
women
percent,
too.
a hundred percent. But for me, as my life's work is self-empowerment for women, it's like I saw it. I was like, wow, this like dragon came out of me. But I also think in moments where people really reflect back your genius and being like, hey, like get paid for this, and you can get paid really well. So I love that you had that as part of your story. So you started doing all of that, and from there,
I think then COVID hit, and it helped me a lot because then people wanted to escape Germany and other countries as well. They wanted to live the freedom lifestyle that they already saw on my profile. And it was the time after the travel bloggers became all famous, and all these travel influencers, and everybody was sitting at home thinking, oh my God, I wish I would be in Bali. Oh my God, I wish I would be in Thailand or Mexico right now. And Ibiza, like that girl here from Germany. I want to do the same. And this Me Too effect, like the halo effect of like, I want to have this as well. That was what, got created in the minds of the people there. And then when COVID hit, everybody sat at home. It was even more depressing. And then people lost their jobs. And that also helped that they understand, I actually really have to become self-employed because I don't want to belong to the system anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to be dependent from a motherfucking government that's like holding me small, keeping me small. And, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And that was the main point why I made a lot of money, especially during COVID times. I kind of stopped doing my social media agency back then because I wanted to focus fully on coaching. And we helped over 1,000 people become free and even emigrate, becoming tax-free, relocating, now living in Brazil, in Thailand, in Ibiza, and other places. A lot of my clients became my friends during the journey or like are my community also in real life. And I love that. And it goes far more beyond than just having a business.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like COVID was really interesting because I think it dismantled this illusion that it was safer to stay with a paycheck, right? Yeah. Like a big reason why people don't get into entrepreneurship is specifically because they feel like it's uncertain, and it is uncertain, right? But like, so is staying at a 9 to 5. And that showed that. And I think it was a huge opportunity for people to see like, okay, real autonomy, real sovereignty means that I am in charge of my own income. Exactly. The beauty, there is no ceiling. You decide how much you want to lean in. You decide how much you want to invest in yourself. You decide how much you want to grow. You decide how many risks you're willing to take, because also like risk aversion is a very different thing. Like people have different levels of risk tolerance, right? Do you feel like being like having like, what do you feel about risk? I think this is an interesting conversation, right?
I'm a rebel.
I know, obviously.
What are you asking?
Obviously, but what would you say to someone? So I have a very high risk tolerance. I take massive leaps. I jump off buildings. I made a $40,000 investment when I had an $1,100 rent that I couldn't pay. I'm like insane. Like people are like, "Are you crazy?" But I have a high risk tolerance, and sometimes I fall flat on my face and all that, but it's also helped me accelerate. Do you feel that risk and being able to take risks is a necessary part of success in building a successful business?
For sure. And I think if you want to have an extraordinary life, depends how you want to look at it, but I mean, for some, extraordinary life is traveling the world and being location dependent and meeting great people like you in Mexico. That's extraordinary. For some, it is like having a little house and like being self-sufficient in Italy, somewhere in Tuscany, whatever. It really depends how your life should look like. But if you want to have an extraordinary life, you need to take extraordinary steps and do different things that normal people do, because otherwise you just stay in normal. And if you don't want to be normal, 9 to 5 job in cold gray weather in Germany or in England or wherever, if you don't want to have this, then you have to make massive steps into the other direction. Think about a sheep herd, let's say. You don't follow the sheep herd, you are the black sheep, and going in the opposite direction, then you will have success. Like there's no rich person or a successful person that I personally know that did what everybody did and then became successful. It's the exactly opposite. So I would say 100% be a risk taker. And if you have maybe some fears or doubts about doing so, always think about what you actually have to lose, because sometimes there is not even much to lose, because you can go back to your home country at any possible time, do a normal 9 to 5 job with the skills you're having already. You can always go back. Like there's nothing to lose. Just experience that you might learn and get some learnings in, and maybe it will end where you really want to go to? Or what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's
My
interesting.
little rebel.
I am very rebellious. I mean, if I look at my story, like I've done things in a really messed up way. Sometimes, like I quit my 9 to 5 with like $100 in my bank account when I was a single
A
mom.
bold self.
Yeah, bold self. Hi, I'm Chiara, bold self here. But that was because, like, I remember. I think sometimes the soul like whispers louder than your fears, right? So at that point, my son was a very big reason why I was being responsible, and I felt like, okay, I have to have a 9 to 5 and all the things, but I was miserable. And I remember feeling like already I wasn't seeing him because I had to put him in aftercare because I had to work this job. And I was watching the sun, freaking go down every day while I'm in this cubicle. And I was like in my mid 20s at this time, and I was like, this cannot be my life. And I actually remember the reason that I quit my job was because I was really not doing well with my mental health. And my parents wanted to fly me and my son out to Italy for the summer. They were like, you know what, we'll fly you out, you're gonna, and I was like, wow, that feels really good to be with my family because I wasn't with my family in New York. And, I go to my boss and I was like, look, my mom wants to fly Luke and I out, for 2 weeks. And I was a contractor, by the way. I wasn't even a paid. And he goes, sounds amazing. You've already used all of your vacation days. And I was like, I get that. I was like, I've also been really not okay. Like, I've mentally been not okay. Like, I'm actually really struggling with my mental health. And I was very close with my boss at the time. And I explained that. And, he was like, yeah, but, the vacation days. And I was like, well, fine. Well, you don't have, I mean, I'm not getting paid for them anyway, like, and it was like, the vacation days. So I was like, I don't want to live in a world where I am a human being talking to another human being and I'm saying, I'm not okay. Like, I'm really not doing well. He saw me coming to work crying and you respond by saying, oh, but your vacation days.
Stick to the rules.
Yeah, literally. Well, the rules say. And I'm like, you know what? And I remember I checked my bank account and I was like, fuck it. I said, fuck it. And I quit on the spot. I was like, I'm giving you notice now. Because I'd rather figure it out there than die in here.
You know what's interesting, what you're kind of describing, and I love the story that you were just telling about, is like you jump from a roof and you hope somebody is gonna like catch you on the way down, or something is like making you fly and give you wings on the way down, let's say, and that's exactly what you did. You just took the fucking leap and boom.
My whole life has been like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
same.
even starting my business was like that. And I do have a high risk tolerance. I will leap off of buildings, both in many ways, different ways. But I do believe, and so back to the conversation, right? Do you believe that is this a skill that someone can learn? Or is this someone that is either born courageous and ready to take leaps and bet on themselves?
I don't think you're born like that. I think life made you like that. So if you have a lot if you needed to struggle a lot in life and overcome a lot of things already, maybe in your childhood or also in your teenage age, and your life was not like the linear perfect path, I think that is like life teaching you the skill to be resilient and to be disciplined and to be like finding a way through it and like being solution orientated. And this is what for me entrepreneurship is all about. It's not just like, I try to find a way on how to make money. That's one part of it, but an entrepreneur in life means for me always finding a solution. If there is a problem, don't think, I have a problem, everything is horrible, and I'm gonna find a way. If I don't know how, I'm gonna ask somebody who might know, get a mentor, get help, get a coach, whatever, a friend, somebody supporting you, or like always figuring something out. And it always works in my case, in your case, and life always has our back when we are courageous enough to make that jump.
You said something, I think I love what you just said though, about how important it is to have people that bring that courage out and will inspire that courage in you, right? So obviously mentorship, we both mentor people in business. And I think mentorship is 100% important. I think investing in communities where you have people that are doing what you're doing, but like specifically, I love, for example, our friendship, right? Like
Me too.
we met 3 years ago here in Mexico for a coffee, and we just fell in love, and then spent all last year together. Like
Imagine, guys, like one coffee. That was 2, 3 years ago, no?
Yeah, 3 years
And then she needed to leave Tulum already, and I'm like, oh my god, it was such a beautiful meetup. I wish she could stay a little longer, you know. And then 1 year later, she came back to Tulum, and I'm, oh yes, baby, now we have time. And
Every
this
day.
year again, so we just repeat, and see
every
each other
day.
in different
But I
places.
feel like having these kinds of connections, and whatever it is, right? Whether you're joining communities, whether you are finding friendships, hiring mentors, you want to be around people who get it. Like you want to be around people that can like hold you in the reality of what it means to actually be an entrepreneur, because it's fucking stretchy, man. Like it's confrontational. I would say it's like the most confrontational path you ever take, because we have to face ourselves every day. Like we are not, like some people can wake up and just go about their business and pretend like they can escape all things. We have to face our shit every single day.
Yeah.
Because if we don't,
Yeah. I want to talk with you about the topic of making money online. Like, how do you think this changed from like 9 to 10 years ago when we started to what it is now? And if a person would like to start or already started and want to find out the way of doing things, what would you say is still working? Also, like there are two questions, but maybe you can share from your perspective.
yeah, I mean, look, I think, and you've been in the online space for a really long time too. And I think like, it's not it's real. It changes and evolves, and also there are certain things that will always hold constant that I think is really important, right?
What are the things that are constant, no matter how much like life changes out there, or the algorithm, or the social media platforms? Like, what is something, if you learn this, and that's a skill, maybe you can use it always in business that will always help you thrive? Like, what is it?
I would say 3 things, especially for business related 3 things. Okay. I would say the personal brand, because,
I agree.
right? Personal brand, whether you're going to become a content creator, whether you sell things even outside, like let's say your brand itself is not a personal brand, even being a personal brand behind a brand fuels it and moves it forward. We're seeing that people do really well with that on TikTok and things like that. So a personal brand, a well-defined personal brand, I think is always going to be something that's going to work 100%. The second thing I think is about telling great stories. Great storytelling, right? So this is why I think it's very interesting how quickly we're seeing copy paste, ChatGPT, AI generated text. Sure, it can make you create emails very quickly, but I don't feel you as the human anymore. And so now you're really banking on sales copy to convert, when really like what draws us in, and I think what's made at least me, and I think you as well, so successful is people connecting to the human experience, the journey itself, the feelings, because I'm not just telling you a story about, when they shut the power, when I couldn't pay my rent and they shut the power and I had my son and I had to light candles and give him popcorn for dinner. I'm taking you along a very real experience that I had as a single mom who was starting a business. Sure, can AI generate something like that? Absolutely, right? But I'm the person behind that story.
That's why the people love you so much, Chiara, because you tell a story and they know it's not like written knowledge from another coach that tells you whatever, or any beautiful tea quote or anything you see on Instagram.
Not my
vibe. It's discovered, experienced wisdom, and that's why people are willing to pay you a huge amount of money that you completely deserve, but still it's a ton of money. That's why they do it, because they know you've been there where they may be still at, and they want to know how the fuck do I get out there.
And exactly. And I think being able to tell really great stories, regardless of what platforms emerge, regardless of whether you want to do a podcast, a YouTube channel, TikTok, like Instagram, whatever it is, being able to share these from a very real, like, hey, like, I get it. I know where you're at because I was there, from a very real, point. I think that's the second thing that's going to always be very consistent. In fact, even much so.
Do you have a third one?
Huh?
Do you have a third one?
And the third one, I think, is going to be the art of sales, learning to really sell those 3 things. Because if you sell, and I don't, so, okay, I will say so I've had Bold Self since 2017, so 9 years. I have done I want to say definitely less than 10 sales pages in my entire career. So the multiple millions of dollars were made through organic social media marketing and also just conversations. Okay. I really genuinely believe, and again, I say this, I preface this by saying that I don't do landing pages because this isn't about sales copy on a landing page. This is about having a conversation with someone who needs something, who wants something,
Yeah.
who is ready for something, who has a problem that you have the experience that you can support them with, right? If you master the art of selling in that conversation, that skill is going to forever support you, regardless of AI, regardless of how, how you get into those conversations, whether you're having sales calls, DMs, or whatever. So I think those three. Do you have any other different
I
ones?
love everything you said, Chiara. I can just add to
Yeah.
the last part that you said. So, learning about social media skills, communication skills, sales skills, I think that's the main thing to do in business if you are a personal brand, like a coach, trainer, consultant, even a freelancer, whatever you want to do online. In my perspective, emotional stories, yes. Personal branding, yes. I agree to everything. I think people have to understand that we don't need these fancy sales pages all the time, because a lot of my clients, they come to me and say, "Oh, I need a website." I'm said, "That's fucking like step 10 and not step 1. First, you need to get clear on who is my actual dream client, who's my target group. What kind of problems do they have? How can I solve their problem? How can I help to make their life better?" And then I create the solution to this. So when I create the solution to the problem, that's going to be the offer.
Yeah.
And when I have a fitting offer to the audience that I want to market to, okay, great. Then I can think about how do I make it like look good, and how do I bring my offer to the person. How do I make sure people understand what I actually have here on the table for them, that is actually moving the needle for them, that is actually changing their lives. And if I can do that, and if I can transport that, great. Always think about where should you transport it. And in my perspective, in a WhatsApp message, in a voice message, on Instagram directly, or in any social media, because there are your people. Even in real life, like if you go to an event, for example, you're a spiritual coach, where are your people? Go to a yoga class, go to, I don't know, a retreat. There are people that you can market to. Right? We always think just social media. Yeah, but that's one thing.
Exactly.
I'm thinking I am a walking poster, let's say. I am my best marketing. So wherever I go, I speak positively and speak, how can I say, empowered about my own business.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my own business because I'm changing people's lives here. And whenever people understand that, they feel it, and then they will become my clients. And it's not just about creating the perfect funnel online and the perfect landing page. That comes after, guys. So I always say, create one offer that is actually a real solution to a problem. Nail down on the marketing and the sales of this specific offer. And when you mastered this, okay, then you can scale it, whatever, and you can take in other projects and products and create a whole funnel around it and a whole system and like a complete offer suite, which is beautiful. But if you didn't master one, fuck no, like don't go crazy and create 1,000 of things. That's what I did in the beginning, and I created so many things already in my business, and I got lost because I lost focus. And whenever you lose focus in business, you're like, you cannot scale anything.
Yeah.
It's going left, right, and nothing really moves the needle.
I think a lot of people also hide behind the website. They hide behind the logo of the website, the perfect aesthetic.
Canva graphics.
Yeah, really, because I call it like the student loop. It's also why people take a million courses before they start implementing action, and like, I don't know about you, but I feel like maybe it's because I got to fall flat on my face. I fail. I fail a lot, by the way. Like, my success is such a celebration, but so is all of my failures, because I think that the success really comes with my willingness to fail. Maybe we can talk about that as well. But
fall down 7 times instead of 8.
Instead of 8, and more important than that, know you're going to stand up before you even fall down. So I think that's an important thing. But for me, I learn in the battlefield. Right? A lot of people feel that, well, once everything is perfect, if I can get my website perfect, if I can do this, if my Canva aesthetic is perfect, once I go out into the world, I will have to be successful because all of these variables are set in place. And then we come to find out that no one gives a shit about that stuff, you know?
Now even more on social media, that people are so drawn to all these influencers that are actually speaking, I don't know, in a pajama, chilled, or while they're doing their makeup. That's the big thing on TikTok, where it looks like it's so spontaneous and they're so real. That's what the people want to see, actually, and not like the perfect setting and everything is amazing, you know. That is like 2023, I don't know, but gone long time.
I call it the 2016 era. I feel
Yeah,
like 2016
2016
was like peak perfect, like the Instagram
It was my
aesthetic.
start, yeah.
Yeah, well, it was. It was the peak Instagram aesthetic. Actually, for a lot of us that got started in that time, I think it might be, it's felt challenging to like unlearn all that shit, you know, because it's like you really don't need all of that stuff. But I do want to talk about failure if you're open to it, because I think that being afraid of failing is something that really keeps people from taking the leaps into whether you're starting or growing, right? Because at every level you hit a ceiling of expansion where fear is triggered again, because even more so you feel like you have so much more to lose. So that feeling of more to lose and all that, I want to talk about failing. Like, what's your vibe with failure? What's your relationship to failure?
For every time I failed because of, for example, outer experiences or circumstances. Let's take the COVID example. I had a social media agency before, and then during 24 hours, my whole business was gone. Like, I had a 5-figure business per month back then, like, I don't know, 12,000, 13,000, something like that. And all my clients, because they were all like restaurants and like offline clients, offline businesses, they needed to shut down because of the lockdown. So they wrote me an email. During 24 hours, all my clients were gone. They wrote me, hey, I have to cancel the contract, sorry, because of the circumstances, whatever. And then Angela Merkel in Germany had this huge talk about, sorry, but you cannot open the businesses, blah, blah, blah. And we all shut down. I'm like, dude, you guys just killed my business during 24 hours that I've built myself for years. You motherfuckers, you don't do that with me. And I got so pissed and so angry, and still get goosebumps and get angry when I speak about it, because this was like so unfair to me. Like, holy shit, have you any idea how much work and love and dedication I've put into this, and now you just steal it from me in 1 second?
Ooh.
No way, man.
Yeah.
And then I remember myself screaming in Berlin. I was back then at my boyfriend's house in Berlin, opening the window, screaming out of the window, you motherfucker, don't kill my business. I gotta come back stronger. And in the same night, I told my team, guys, we need a like SOS team call, you know, like we need to do something. And we sat down until 2 in the night, figuring out what we're gonna do. And we decided, let's do a workshop, which was called the SOS online workshop. So we help people in that time during COVID to digitalize them and their business, to go online, to be seen, to do social media, because they haven't done it before. So we basically help them to become more seen on social media, to do online marketing and all that stuff. And we did that for free because we knew we have the skills and they don't know how to do it. And of course, that was the birth hour of my first webinar that we did, like going live for free and then having an upsell for a coaching program.
Amazing.
Oh my God, we made so much money in the next 24 hours. You guys have no...
So you took like a massive failure, or what seemingly felt like a failure, or a really bad obstacle.
I thought, this is it. I'm going to the, we say Arbeitsamt in Germany. It's the place where you go if you don't have money and work anymore, and you say, please give me a job. That's the Arbeitsamt in Germany. Arbeitsamt. So I thought, this is it. I have to go there now, and like I'm done. Like, this is it. And but my team and me, we were so focused on solution orientation of like, what can we do in this shit moment? What could we offer? What do the people need really right now? And that was a complete turnaround of my career. And then we said, fuck the social media agents, and we're gonna do this now full time.
So interesting.
And we made so much money.
So you know what's crazy?
So much.
You know what's crazy? Actually, that's wild. This reminds me, for COVID. So I had a conference. I used to host conferences back in the US. I had a conference planned for the week that they shut down the country. So we had people that had bought tickets internationally to this conference. We had like a few hundred people that were supposed to attend. And, obviously we'd never experienced anything like that. We're getting like news, like, oh, all these things are getting shut down. These events are getting shut down. And I was like, fuck, like, what do I do? Because I also, not only I was invested in the event, like putting on a conference costs a lot of money
No, I
for
can
that amount
imagine.
of people. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, so we had to pivot last minute and we ended up turning it into an online event. And we did $250,000 in less than a weekend.
Whoa, this is
A
wild.
$250,000 because we basically were like, we did something very similar. I'm like touching your butt. We did something very similar where we were like, okay, we've got a problem, right? Which is we can't have this conference. And like our conferences are massive revenue generators because we sell our coaching programs, etc. How do we do this? And we sat down, we're like, okay, well, we could bring it online. That was obviously the first thing, but it's like, how do we create this experience so that it mimics what we were going to do in person and follow the same and like sell the same and everything. And it ended up being $250,000 weekend. And
I
it was
love it.
insane. It was like, I remember sitting back being like, wow,
This is insane, man.
right?
Congratulations to this
Yeah,
great
it's
turnaround.
fun,
And
man. It's fun.
we did the same with the retreat basically because we already made a down payment for the villa because we wanted to do our first
For
business
COVID,
retreat in
around COVID.
Ibiza. Yeah. And then we had already paid like 15K or something to that villa and we didn't got the money back. I'm like, oh, this is a huge minus in the bank right now.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, and we also like turned it around. We let them say, okay, you can come next year for free or you do an online thing with us, like a whole half year coaching, whatever. So it was actually like worth the price,
Yeah.
And that also rescued us to not needing to pay back all this money that the people already paid. And in the end, we cannot even do the event. So much shit happened during COVID. And I think a lot of people who are longer in the business can maybe relate to this, that this was a huge turning point. And I feel like right now, while the world is going even more local, we see this again. Like so many like people lose a lot of money right now in the stock market, in gold, in crypto, like everything goes down right now, all the investments. World is in war, like Trump is doing crazy shit every day, waking up in the morning, okay, let's attack a new country. So there are so crazy times right now and everybody's like under shock and scared and don't know what to do and confused. And I'm telling you guys, this is the best time again. If you look back 5 years ahead from today, looking back on this time now, thinking, oh my God, that was the moment I started off my business. That's what, okay, I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
That was the moment everything changed.
It brings out the best in you, right? So I think like you're talking about these fears, you're talking about these doubts. Like this is really what feels like sometimes on an individual level, I think the worst in us, right? Like it's like I feel the weakest, I feel the most scared, I feel the most anxious, right? However, what if instead it brought out the best in you?
Your
What
courage,
if
your boldness.
your boldness? Yeah. Like what if like there's never going to be a better time, right? To leave. I mean, like for me, not having anything to lose. So I practiced the art of detachment very intentionally. And, about 2.5 years ago, actually, I went on basically like a sabbatical and I was running my 7-figure business. I was living in a big, beautiful house in LA. I had my convertible, I had this big lifestyle and I had started to feel like I was a slave to it, that I was working to keep up with the success for it, right? And I had lost what I had really created the business for, which was my freedom in the first place. And I felt this attachment to all these things. And so what did I do? On a random Tuesday, I decided to sell everything, break my lease, pack 2 suitcases, and leave the US and move to Europe, right? And it turned out to be 2.5 years now of being nomadic and adventurous, and it's been extraordinary, which is a whole other conversation. However, I don't think I would have had these past 3 years and I wouldn't have been able to come back to work in the way that I have had I not gone through the phase of detachment where I felt like I need to feel like, fuck it. Because if you feel too attached to things, you are going to rationalize all of your inaction. You are going to make sense. Well, it's not the best time. It's be irresponsible if I did this, right? For me, I have this thing, I have this lifestyle, I have this, payroll that I have to maintain. I have these things. I was such like at the mercy of everything and I could not breathe. And I think one thing that really connects our businesses is that freedom is our number one core value.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
I would die for freedom.
So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about attachment to things, right? Because you too travel and you have a lot of freedom, a lot of flexibility.
Yeah. My life basically fits in 2 suitcases.
Cheers.
Cheers. I do have an apartment in Ibiza though, which I call kind of like home. I'm there like 4, 5, maybe 6 months per year, and the rest I'm traveling around. And that just shows me that we don't really need much to be happy. I also, if I even could live more like fancy and luxury because I do have the money for it, but I don't want to. First of all, I like to be, how you say, humble and stay humble to where I come from. I don't need more because I'm already living like kind of luxury from my personal perspective. But of course, you can even go higher and higher. But what I like is freedom is also created by knowing that the money is working for you in the background. So what I do with the money that I'm making is investing it smart. So thinking about where do you put your money, crypto, gold, whatever, maybe at some point buying a real estate, whatever, like something that is giving you the freedom, knowing in the background, okay, my money works for me in the background, my money multiplies. And this is for me the best teammate that you can have in your business if you have tools and things that systems in play, let's say, that create you even more money while you are sleeping. That's the dream everybody has, right? The passive income. There are definitely tools on how to do this. If you create an online course, for example, you can create all that it's working in the background if you have a sales and a marketing system, but also if you invest money smart, and therefore you need to learn about money. You need to understand money flows, macroeconomy, like all these things. How is the world working? And I never wanted to learn these kind of things because for me it's boring, and we had that talk already too, like, oh my God, I don't want to talk about this, but it's so necessary because nobody in school ever taught us on how to do these things. And that's why I created the Freedom Collective. You're in there too, where we really talk about a freedom setup and like a complete, like it's a financial education platform, a business community where we talk about all these things constantly and update it and like give people also options and the right tools at hand to do exactly these things, to not only make money, but also multiply it, and creating a real school of freedom, let's say. That's what we wanted to do. That was my vision and my mission on life. I think it's just really important to find experts, mentors, coaches that help you grow in the topics that you want to grow in. Is it trading, investing? Great. Is it business? Great. Is it motivation, inspiration, empowerment? Great. Is it doing reps every day and like repetition, discipline? Great. Like think about what are you lacking right now in your business, and then find somebody who is fucking good at it and helps you doing that.
Yeah.
And also money mindset, of course. Like if you think money is shit and bad and whatever, and just the horrible people have money, you will not attract it. But that's another topic for another another podcast.
So what would you say then for someone who doesn't know what their thing is? Like, whether obviously like
starting from zero?
Yeah, starting from zero. Like, how do you find someone to guide you in the right direction if you're starting from zero? And then alternatively, how do you find someone to take you to the next level if you're already accomplished? I think that's a cool riff, I think, for us to close with.
I would say look at the life of another person. Is this life inspiring you? Is this something you really want to have for yourself as well? Great. Does this person then has also a good reputation in terms of testimonials? People that already say, holy shit, working with Chiara, working with Franti changed my life in so many ways, and can have the proof that this what we do here is actually working. So these are the 2 things I would look at for sure. And find the person that is nearest to your heart too, but at the same time has authority, like a professionalism in the background, and where you can believe, oh, this person has something that I don't have yet, and I want to go to this point, but at the same time she feels like so near to my heart, because then I think working together is a different level, a more emotional, more real. That helped me. I don't know how you see it. Maybe you can share your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so based on the individual, right? And I think also with the access to so much online, like we have AI now, there's a lot of road mapping and things that you can find the step by steps to. And I think when it comes to like mentorship, I think if you're just starting out, finding someone who's built something similar to how you want to build it, and not just what they've built but how they've built it, right? And like their energy. Like if you're somebody who doesn't want to be working 24 hours a day, then maybe hiring the hustler business coach is not the right vibe, right? You want to find someone that understands kind of your vision for it and that really inspires you. And I think as you grow and evolve, I think a question is really around like what you're looking for, right? So a lot of people, for example, hire me because they feel, number one, a sense of permission to really step up. They feel like being in my energy allows them to really own what they actually really want. Also activation. So my magic is in activating the woman behind the business. And when the woman feels like she's on fire, she's ready to take on the world. Obviously I don't help, women who are just starting businesses anymore. However, even then, even when I was teaching, the step-by-steps, there was a big activation. So for me, like hiring me is not hiring like a strategist, right? So I think it's also a question of like, how do you best learn and who brings you to life? Yeah. Like what stories can you resonate with? Who talks that you hear them and you're like, fuck yeah, like that's the way it clicks, right?
And also maybe I love everything you say. This is so valid and it's so true. Also, think about not only what does the other person have that I want to have too, and is it attractive to me how she speaks and whatever, like everything energetically, but also be completely brutally honest to yourself too, guys. Like this is an important one. What are you really lacking in your business, in your mindset, in your whatever, what you want to create, and be so honest. And if it is systems, tools, techniques, whatever, automation, and you don't know about these things, don't go for another mindset coach that helps you to become empowered, because you need something else, dude. Like you cannot make magic and just like do like this and then all of a sudden there's a tool. It's not like
hiding. That. I think a lot of times people do that. Like if they've hired multiple mindset coaches when they really need strategy, it's like there's a safety in finding the mindset, right? And there's a stretch in hiring the strategist, where on the flip side, you've done all of the strategy stuff, but like, doing the personal power work is scary, because you'd have to own the fact that you're afraid of outgrowing your husband, or, like all of the things that make you feel like,
guys, if you need a strategist, come to me. And if you need somebody empowering you and bring you into a new identity, then go to Chiara.
And we both know both, right? I think like that's the beauty of it, is like I have things together. Yeah, it does belong together. Exactly. Like I have my arsenal of, obviously, like I couldn't have built what I have built if I didn't have the strategies for it. And likewise for you, you wouldn't have been able to build what you've built if you didn't have the energetic, like the mindset, the power, and all of that behind, right? That really invites someone to rise into that, for them. But I think it's important, for me at least, and I think for so many of us, it's like, however you decide to invest, whether it's you're investing time to learn this on your own, or you're investing money to learn, and collapse time based on someone else's experience when you're hiring a mentor, like make the decision to invest, make a decision that like right now, right here, you're drawing the line in the sand and you're ready to actually build the life of freedom that you want to build, and like take the step to do it. Take the risk, be courageous, all of the things that we talked about today, which is so cool.
Yeah. One little thing to add. I think also, guys, understand that investment is actually needed for your growth in business, because then you finally get things done. Let's say you invest into a tool that costs you 2,000 euros, or let's say you invest into a coach that costs you 5K. You gonna sit down and do the fucking job that's necessary to do it. You're gonna show up in every call. You're gonna implement that tool. You're gonna do it because you paid so much in advance that have no longer an excuse. Like you need to follow through on it. And That's the point where money and commitment comes together. So if you spend money and time for something to reach, you are committed differently than when it's for free, let's say. And that's why it's so important to do that. I know that you already invested a lot in yourself. What would you say is the number? Do you know it?
Do you want to know? I think this might scare you.
Oh God,
I've
it's coming up.
invested over $400,000 in mentorship.
That's huge.
Huge, but I've also made a lot of money on the other side of it. So
okay,
it's been
for me to the
stretching.
record now, I gonna invest 400,000 now, so I also make millions over millions like you.
Because you know what it is, though? You know what it is? It is true. Like the money sounds like obscene, right? Let's be honest. However, with any investment, whether you're investing, you know, a $200,000 investment or you're investing $5,000, everyone's stretch is different, right? Like I've done that through the course of 9 years as I continued to grow, et cetera. And yes, I did start off with a massive first investment. So I started high and moved high. But it's really about the stretch. It's about the skin in the game. And it's really about the person you become when you make that investment. Because the day that I made that first investment, I didn't make it as a struggling single mom who couldn't pay her rent. You know, I made it as someone who was ready and committed to go all into her future. And, you know, I signed on the contract and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to freaking do this. But what I do know is I'm done being that. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I just know it's not there anymore.
So you acted on the new identity.
I acted on the new identity, exactly. But it's really about, every investment is really about who you become in the process of making that investment, because that investment represents the declaration to the universe, to God, to yourself, to whomever, to the air, you know, that you're done living the way that you've lived and that you are ready. And it takes courage and it takes all of that we've talked about, but it's the line in the sand. And I think it's incredibly important to do that.
Yeah, I love that. And I think with this being said, we have nothing more that we can add on this. I mean,
this was so good. Did you guys like this? This is how we talk all the time. We go to dinner and just have these conversations.
Maybe we should do another episode soon about more social media and personal branding stuff. I don't know if
you guys tell us. If you enjoyed this, you tell us what you want to hear more about, and we'll be happy to share. But thanks for tuning in with us. I think this was really fun. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. I love our conversation.
I could talk 3 more hours.
Oh, good. I know. I was looking at the time. I was like, dang.
Oh, how much do we have already?
We're good. Yeah, we're good. All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye guys.